I got my start working with Dynamics GP as a bright-eyed student right out of college. And at the time, there was this really cool company in Fargo, North Dakota called Great Plains Software, and it was growing really fast. And someone said to me, you should look into Great Plains. And so I applied, and they came to the college campus, I remember, and I met with a recruiter. And then I had a couple more interviews, and I got hired at Great Plains Software.
I had the IT background, I was quite technical, and then I moved into sales, and I learned a lot about GP just by listening and watching our pre-sales person, who was also a chartered accountant, ask questions and demo the product. That's how I learned what GP did, what it was capable of.
I got my start in Dynamics GP right out of college. Some of my classmates mentioned an open position at a company in Watertown, South Dakota called iControl. Essentially, we were a bunch of nerdy engineers building a software product on top of pre-release version of Dynamics. This is in the early 90s. We released our first version of GP on floppy disk, so that's quite a while ago.
I started as a GP consultant with Profit Business Group. I've been working in the GP space like about 18 years. I started, I think, working with GP 9 or 10 at the time.
My first job as a consultant for GP was at a pecan farm in Sahuarita, Arizona. And I worked on that project for 2 years and thoroughly learned GP inside and out. All of the modules were used, all of the functionality was used, and I just really developed a lot of knowledge, but a lot of love for the product.
I discovered that I didn't love doing regulatory reports, and I loved the technology side of things a lot more than that. So I applied in 1999 a couple times, didn't get the job the first time around, but then in October 17th, I believe it, or no, October 22nd of 1999, I started as a support engineer for Dynamics or Great Plains GP. It was actually E-Enterprise 5.5. That was the product that was released at that time.
I actually started with Dynamics GP with an ISV in Fargo back in the year 2000, and started working with GP as a QA person, doing testing, regression testing with our solution and Dynamics GP.
I started working with Dynamics GP back in 1999 when I was hired by Great Plains Software. I started out in human resources payroll support and then moved to what we called the installation support, which would be installations, upgrades, configuration, migrations, etc.
So I first got my start with Dynamics GP in 2008 when I was hired on it at Microsoft as part of the analytics team. We supported FRX, which then converted into what's called now Management Reporter. And from that point in time, I had to start learning different aspects of Dynamics GP that worked with those reporting tools.
I got my start with Dynamics GP in 2000, working for DFC Consultants and Carol Rogney, and it was right when it was the transition from moving off in the 1999 over to 2000.
I started with Dynamics GP not really knowing what I was getting into at all. I had a computer science background from college and was kind of just looking for any job that dealt with computers. Ended up getting hired at Microsoft for their level 1 support team and went through a 6-week boot camp of everything about GP. At the time, I had no clue. I hadn't done any accounting classes in college or anything like that, but the kind of the back end database management and technical side of it really appealed to me.
I got my start with Dynamics GP as an end user. It was 1993. Working for a small company, we decided to go with Great Plains Accounting, which is the DOS version or the predecessor of GP, and it kind of went from there.